Welcome to the Allegrativity Powercast with Allegra Sinclair. Get ready to punch fear in the throat, show up, and tell your story. Allegra Sinclair is here to help you become the powerful woman you are meant to be. It's finally time to get unstuck and reveal how fabulous you are. And it's time for your host, Allegra Sinclair.
Hey, this is Allegra. Welcome to this week's episode of the Allegrativity Powercast. And I am so excited. I can hardly stand it because my guest today is the fabulous Nicole Dean. Nicole is a published author, popular speaker, successful blogger, podcaster, business consultant. She is the coach's coach, and she's just awesome. I am delighted to call her friend and coach and all sorts of other stuff when she's not around because I don't want to embarrass her. But she's frequently asked to talk to people about blogging, outsourcing, passive income, working from home successfully, running a profitable affiliate program. She is a font of all sorts of online marketing information, but she isn't stuffy. She loves to travel. She has a great laugh. She's also a little geeky, and I kind of like that about her most. But she has a huge heart, which is really what I like most. She does work with orphans. She fosters dogs who are in transition. She is all of that. And I just can't wait to introduce you to my friend, Nicole Dean. Hi, Nicole.
Hi. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. I love it.
You are very welcome. I'm stoked to have you here finally. You don't know this, but you've been on my wish list since we met at NAMS a year ago. Was it 2 years ago, August? Almost 2 years ago.
Wow. Mm-hmm. You know, you can have me anytime you want me, darling.
I love that. I don't hear that every day. I know you're stunned by that. I don't hear that every day. So I'm kind of digging that in a way that I probably shouldn't admit. But today, Nicole is here because something super exciting is coming on April 1st. But I have to start here. Nicole, I know you recently did a keynote at a conference. Oh, at NAMS.
Yes. And
the title of it was that you double dog dare us to be awesome. And my first question is, do dogs usually dare you to do stuff?
Mine are out of control, so you don't even want to know what happens here.
Okay, well, tell us about the double dog dare, because that was just epic.
Well, the actual title was I freaking double dog dare you to be awesome.
Oh, see, I missed that.
Freaking in there too, because I mean it. I mean it.
Okay. So why are you daring us to be awesome?
Because there's a couple stories here. Okay. One is that there are people I love and people I like and acquaintances and colleagues and everybody. And I've been doing this a long time, this online business thing. And I watch people just floating through life like a leaf on the wind, and life is just happening to them and time is just going by. And they tell me they've got the same goals 2 years after we talked about them. And in the meantime, I've done my goals, I've accomplished them, but they're still missing one little piece or one perfect thing to try to get their goal to happen. And it makes me sad.
So it's not that it's a longer term goal. They just kind of keep erasing the date and using that exact same goal.
Yeah, it's just that it hasn't been achieved yet.
Okay.
And it's becoming epic. I mean, it's an epidemic. That's what I mean. It's been becoming an epidemic in people that I talk to, and okay. I'm tired of it because, like I always say, I don't know who originally said this, but it's one of my favorite quotes. The days are long, but the years are short. So these people don't realize that while they think it's only been a short time, it's been 6 months since I've seen them, or it's been 2 years since I've seen them last, and they're still saying, well, I've almost got that book done, or I've almost got that first webinar, or I've almost got my membership site created, or we're almost ready to go on that cruise, or whatever. It's too long.
Yeah.
It's just too long, and their lives are just happening to them instead of grabbing awesome by the cojones and making things happen,
So is that why it's taking so long? Why aren't we getting our stuff done?
I think there are a few factors. One is fear.
Okay.
One is overwhelm.
You can't see me, but I'm waving my hand right now.
Yeah, overwhelmed. They're just, it's too big, and it seems like writing, or people say, I want to publish a book. Well, that's great. You want to publish your book, but what's the first step to get there that isn't scary? Well, I need to pick out a title, or well, I need to create my outline. Okay, well, let's start with that, because if you keep focusing on I want to publish a book and you don't start taking little tiny steps towards that, then you can't reach that goal. It's going to stay out there as this big, overwhelming thing to you. And so there's a whole story about why now and why I'm creating the movement that we're going to talk about. But that was really weighing on my heart, that I wanted to go into the keynote and just light some fires under some butts and get people to realize that if they've started back in 2010 and they still are waiting to see their goals being met, that might be because they're not taking the right tiny little actions to get there. And that's what awesome people do, is they take tiny little actions towards a goal.
I love that. I want to ask you a quick question because I interrupted you. But you said, when I said, why aren't we getting our stuff done? You said it more elegantly than I did. But I said, why aren't we getting our stuff done? You said fear, overwhelm. Was there a third?
Well, it's fear of failure and fear of success, both. Okay. I mean, like, the big thing is in setting goals and setting dreams and realizing what they are, it can be paralyzing to people, because, like, at the beach house, at Beachpreneurs, the first night we talk about goal setting. And a lot of times it's very emotional for people. I see them shaking. I see them crying while they're trying to get these goals written down. And, you know, I talk to them about it, and they're like, but what if I don't? What if I put it in writing? The answer is always, darling, but what if you do?
Yeah, it's so funny. So I remember when I first started talking about punching fear in the throat, and I have a real Southern Belle mama, and she's like, do you have to say that? And I'm like, yeah, because most of the fears that prevent us from doing stuff aren't as powerful as we build them up in our minds to be. I mean, Amen. We act like they're Batgirl when they're really like a beetle. I mean, we just make them grow to like mythical proportions until they just beat us down before we even started. So, and most of the time you think, oh, they're afraid of failing because then everybody would know. I don't think so. I think people fear success more because they don't know what that would feel like, look like, taste like. And even if it's not great, you might be comfortable where you are right now, and you might not be ready to give that up.
The known is a safe place to be, even when it's not.
Absolutely. Ooh, that's deep. The known. Ooh, I'm going to have to tweet that. The known is a safe place to be, even if it's not. Ooh, that's all sorts of deep. Okay.
It is.
So we're not getting our stuff done because of fear and overwhelm. So what does that have to do with awesome? Oh, I have to tell you this. So when I first heard about your project, so when I first started hearing about the project, I was like, awesome. Okay, that's awesome, right? So then everything became awesome. And then I was like, oh, wait, everything is awesome. I don't know if you watched the Grammys, but there was a song that was nominated called, or it might even have been the Oscars. Anyway, there was a song recently up for an award show, and the song was called Everything is Awesome. And I remember
the Lego movie.
Okay, see, I don't have kids. I didn't watch the Lego movie. But I remember watching the award show, and I was like, this has got to be the most inane song. I hated the song. See, God has a sense of humor. I hated on the song. I told everybody with ears I hated the song. And since I heard about your project, do you know what song is on constant loop in my head?
Everything is awesome.
That's what I get for hating on the song. Every 5 seconds I hear that in my head. And I even see the performers on stage. And I'm like, okay, this is probably how people felt when I kept talking about the song Happy. Because now it just won't leave me alone. But what is the whole awesome project?
Oh my gosh. I actually am calling it a movement because I feel that it is a movement. Originally, I wanted to do a 30-day Awesomization challenge, but then I didn't like the word challenge because I felt like it was like do or die, and I didn't like that because it's not a challenge, it's a movement. Okay. And what it is I've decided that for the month of April, I want to gather as many positive thinking, amazing business owners, coaches, virtual assistants, bloggers, and people that just want to be business owners, gather them together and focus on doing tiny acts of awesome for 30 days. And I want to especially focus that on one task in our business, one task in our personal lives, and one task to change the world and make the world a better place. And these are tiny little itty bitty things. They don't have to be, you don't have to be Mother Teresa to participate, and you don't have to be Seth Godin. This is little things like in your business. It may be just brainstorming the title of that book that's in your heart and getting it down on paper for one day. That may be your awesome task because you've been putting it off because it seems scary. Because again, well, what if I put it down in writing, then I'm a step closer to having to do this. Another awesome task might be doing a podcast interview or reaching out to be on a podcast or a guest blog post. It might be there's so many things. It could be brainstorming the outline for your book. It could be setting up a squeeze page so that you finally have a list started. It could be anything, or just brainstorming what you want to give to your list so that you can have somebody set up your squeeze page. It can be teeny tiny. It can be deleting yourself from 20 different Facebook groups because it's just cluttering up your brain.
Yes. So do you pick for the day then? So do I do business one day?
No, you do 3 a day.
Okay.
Well, the goal is to do 3 a day. I mean, there's no, I'm not holding a feather to your armpit. If you don't do it, that's between you and the challenge. And if you want to do extra the next day, that's fine. But I'm trying to keep them so simple that they take like 2 minutes or less to do. Like in our lives. Yesterday mine was that I went out into my bookshelf and I picked out 3 books and I put them in a box to donate to the library. I didn't have to go through all of my books. It doesn't have to be this big thing. I just had a box. I picked 3 books. I put them in there. The day before that, I went through my closet and I picked out 3 pieces of clothing that no longer fit me. And I put them into a box that I can donate to a battered women's shelter. I mean, they need clothes. They leave their homes in the middle of the night with nothing, oftentimes grabbing their children and grabbing their purse if they're lucky, and they go to the shelter. They've got nothing. They can't go to work. I mean, without clothing, they're kind of stuck. So the clothing is not doing me any good collecting dust in my closet, but it could make a woman who just ended up going through the toughest experience of her life and who is thinking, oh my God, what now? Drop down on bended knee and thank God that she has these clothes to wear tomorrow.
That is an epic, tiny little thing.
It's tiny to me, but it's epic to them.
Yes, that is a humongous tiny little thing.
Exactly.
So I'm not even feeling convicted by it. I'm feeling inspired by it because both of those things you just said, I think the magic of the movement is it is so doable.
Yes.
Because you often hear about things that are coming up, and you and I have talked, not on the podcast, obviously, about Whole30, because I am so tired of being allergic to the planet. It's like I go outside and then I can't leave my house for 3 days because my eyes are swollen and something's running. So, but that feels huge to me. Mm-hmm. Whole30, it does feel completely huge to me. But what you're talking about, I think the magic of it is both those examples you just gave. I'm like, oh my gosh, I could do that.
Exactly.
That, and I'm thinking to myself, wait, that's good enough, right? Because the other magic of what you said was, it doesn't have to be a whole big thing. I didn't have to go through all my books. I went through and picked 3.
Exactly.
See, my mind's eye would be, I'd have to do a whole project. I might have to get a pods in the driveway. I mean, I just make it too big. I'd have to go through every book, right? But you just were like, hey, it doesn't have to be a big thing. Just find 3. I love that. It's so accessible.
And then for awesomizing the world, I mean, that can be as simple as grabbing a piece of paper and an envelope and writing a note to your first grade teacher and sending it to him or her, just saying, I've been thinking about you and I wanted to thank you. I remember this story and I remember this happening to me and it meant a lot to me. And it can be like we talked about, donating clothes, books, food that you're no longer eating because you realized you're allergic to it. Whatever it takes. Something simple like when I lived out in Oregon, one of my neighbors was an elderly man. So every time I went to get my garbage can and pull it up to the house, I would grab his. It took me 2 seconds, but it meant a lot to him.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't have to be big. And actually, I would like to share the story of what inspired the WWAYD movement.
Oh, please.
Okay, so about a year ago, a little more than a year ago, at NAMS last February, I met a man called James Deering
I
from
know
BetterPiano.com.
James. He's awesome.
Yes, he is. But he wasn't always awesome. In fact, he was quite average. And so James, I found out at that NAMS that James had lost 70 pounds in 18 months. He had improved his marriage, became a better husband, became a better father to his 5 children, and started a business, all in those 18 months. And what I didn't know is that I was coming down with the stomach flu, so I only had a few moments to talk to James before I had to head upstairs.
No.
But in those 3 to 5 minutes, I said, James, I got to ask you, because I was just walking past him on my way upstairs as I was starting to sweat and feel pretty yucky. I said, James, how did you do it? You're so inspiring to me, and you're so talented, and I want to know how you went from this average James to awesome James. How did you do it? And he said, well, actually, it was quite simple. And I don't know if I've told you the story yet, but what he told me was this. He decided that he was going to be awesome James, that he was giving up regular James and he was going to be awesome James. So the first thing he did was he sat down and thought, what would awesome James be like? Well, he would be healthier. He would be more patient with his kids. He would have his own business, and he would be a better husband to his amazing wife that he adores. And so then he took it a step further and he said, okay, well, what would awesome James be doing in his day that I'm not doing? How do I get there from here? And so he said, that's what I'm going to do. And so in every minute of every day for those 18 months, he just did one simple thing. Before he made a decision, before he did anything, he said to himself, what would awesome James do right now? And that's what he did. So, for instance, when he went to bed at night, he, instead of setting the alarm for 7:30 and, getting as much sleep as he possibly could, he set it for 6:30. And then when the alarm went off, instead of hitting the snooze button, he got up, he went on a walk, drank a glass of water, went on a walk, got back, helped his beautiful wife to get their 5 kids, ready in the morning because it was stressful for her, as you can imagine.
I'm thinking, yeah,
Exactly.
just a little bit.
And then he went off to work, and for lunch, he didn't go through McDonald's. He had packed a lunch because that's what awesome James would do, pack a healthy lunch. And then when he got back from work, what he wanted to do after that long day at work, he wanted to flop on the couch and watch TV. But instead, he walked in, looked around the house, realized the dishwasher needed to be unloaded and that his wife had had a long day as well, and that it would just make dinner go a lot easier if she had a clean kitchen. So he took the 2 to 3 minutes to unload the dishwasher quickly, and it meant the world to her. It was a small thing for him to do, but it meant the world to her. So after a few months of doing what awesome James would do, he discovered something pretty amazing, that he was becoming awesome James. And I thought that was an amazingly inspiring story, and I held it in my heart for a while, but I didn't do a lot with it other than to share his story a few times and inspire other people, but I didn't actually bring it front and center in my own life until January. I was going through a pretty severe bout of depression because that's something I battled my entire life. And and I didn't want to get out of bed. I was gaining weight. Just things were bad. So I was doing the bare minimum of what I had to do. And I was laying in bed one day and I knew that I had this keynote coming up at NAMS. And I told my husband, I'm going to have to cancel it. I am going to have to cancel this keynote that I've been looking forward to so much because I cannot possibly get up there and talk about awesome when I haven't showered in 3 days. and I haven't gotten out of bed, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing the bare minimum to survive right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I told him, I said, I either have to kick my own butt and get into re-awesomization mode right now, or I'm going to have to cancel. And so he said, well, don't do anything right now. Let's talk about this re-awesomization and what that means to you. And if it doesn't happen by a certain date, then, we'll talk about you canceling that, because that'll give David enough notice to get somebody else in there if you really can't do it. And so
your husband is a wise dude.
He is amazing. He actually, I'll tell you one of the things that he told me one day that just stopped me in my tracks. So, anyway, about mid-January, I remembered what James had said, and I started to think about Awesome Nick, and it seemed too big of a leap to get back to re-awesomize. I mean, I was awesome once, and I knew I could get there again because I'd done it before, but it seemed huge and it seemed overwhelming. Mm-hmm. So I just kept going back to what James had said. What would Awesome Nick do in this situation? What would Awesome Nick do right now? And so for me, one of the commitments I made was the Whole30, because I knew that if I had a firm start and a firm stop and firm rules, and I made a commitment that was as solid as my marriage. So there was no excuses. There was no cheating. I had the integrity of, I made the promise to my husband and to my kids. And if I cheated, then I was cheating them as well. So there was no option for cheating. It just wasn't there, because I made a commitment in my soul that I was going to do this. And re-awesomizing my business. I have my business coach, so I reached out to him and I scheduled some VIP days that I was owed, and I planned on going up there, and I did that, and just little things that I knew that I could do to take the focus off of the junk in my head and in my body and, just yuck, and focus elsewhere, so that I was what I wanted to do, what I wanted to see was, if I did awesome, would I start to feel awesome? And that's exactly what happened.
Wow. I am almost speechless. A, I didn't know any of that. And B, when you were talking about how you reached out to your business coach and, you did some small things, and I'm thinking, so I know people, I'm close to people. I'm thinking I can see several right now who have also battled depression for a long time. And as I'm sitting here, I'm like, that doesn't feel small to me.
Right.
Right. Because I know there are times, one is going through it right now. There are times right now when everything feels like it's just too much for her.
Oh, so, even brushing your teeth is like, oh my God, I have to walk all the way in there, and the toothbrush, and which toothpaste do I use? And
right. And people who have never experienced it or who have never seen it don't get that. Mm-hmm. Right. So I think there's so much hope for people in that, to have been in a deep depression and not have it be like, like the old folks will say, oh, she's just having a moment, or, oh, just get up and put on some lipstick. No, that's not what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
We're not talking about a lack of lip gloss here. We are talking about a very real medical situation. But I think the seed that was planted when James told you the story, and then it coming back to you when it came back to you, wasn't a coincidence, because I believe our steps are ordered. And I love that your husband was able to say in that moment, which I think was probably movement inspiring. Suppose he hadn't said those things about, let's figure out what that might look like for you and what you can really do. Because if you had said to yourself, oh, well, I have to get up and do bam, bam, bam. Like, I have to get up and go through all my books. You wouldn't have been able to do that.
No.
And then we wouldn't have this awesome movement.
Exactly. Right. And I'm just amazed. Allegra, it has amazed me how life altering this has been for people. And we haven't even started yet officially. I mean, I started to share that we were going to do this. People started signing up. Some friends started to promote it too and share and let their people know. And so I set up the Facebook group so we could start on April 1st, but people are so hungry for this invitation that the Facebook group just blew up. Everybody's sharing their awesome stuff. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, we haven't even started yet. And people are like posting about how this has been life-changing for them already.
I love that.
it is amazing to me. It gives me goosebumps. People have just been hungry for this invitation to be awesome and to be aware and awake to the possibilities that are around them at all times.
So let me do something bizarre. For the people who are listening right now who are like, okay, how much longer are they going to talk? Tell me how I get started. Can you quickly tell them when it begins, how they get started? And then I'm going to come back to the next question. Because for impatient people like me who'd be right now like, can I fast forward through this? Because I so want it. You know, for the other goosebump people, how do they get started?
Well, I assume you have a link in the show notes.
I do. Mm-hmm.
You do.
AllegraSinclair.com/awesome.
Well, that's where they can go to get started. And what it is it's a Facebook group. We're over 350 people strong in the challenge, not in the Facebook group yet, because I'm still working on getting all those people moved over.
Okay.
And I'm creating a guide to being awesome that will be provided on April 1st as well. But it's just a simple sign up, and it's for April 1st through April 30th. And what everybody's doing is they're checking in on Facebook and posting what they did. That was awesome. And it's not a competition. It's only a competition with yourself, not against anyone else, but against yourself. And it's a movement to, I keep saying this in all of my interviews because it's so important, but I don't like to think of this as being a temporary change. What I'm hoping and praying that this is for the people that are signing up that I know are hurting and are brave enough to do this. What I'm hoping is that it's a transformation for them, because a change can be reversible, but a transformation is permanent. Like a butterfly. A butterfly, once it turns into a butterfly, never, ever, ever can become a caterpillar again. It just can't.
Truth.
So,
there's another tweetable. Dang, that was so good. I wish I could eat it with some chocolate.
I know, right? It gives me goosebumps every time I see it, because that's what I want in my heart too. I want a transformation for myself and for the participants. Allegra, I want a transformation for you. This is what I want, and this is what I'm dreaming for in this month. And so far, the expectations have far exceeded, or the reality has far exceeded any dream that or expectation that I've had about this month.
So it's a really simple decision. You just visit the site, you sign up, and then on April 1st, they start getting goodies from you.
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you said it far exceeded your expectations, because I think that was a brave and bold move. Right? In our universe and since I used to work in PR and media relations, I always focus on negative media first, and because I live on Twitter, right? Because I love Twitter,
that.
And I find love and friends. And I mean, I find all sorts of good stuff on Twitter, but I do know Twitter has a reputation of being kind of wild and woolly and mean. So were you at all hesitant to talk about this? Like you didn't know how people would respond?
I am. I mean, even in the group, that's why I'm charging a nominal fee for the group, because I did not want to make it a free thing where trolls could come in and people that just wanted to stir up trouble and, you know, people that were unhappy and are happiest when other people are unhappy. I don't want them in the group. And if that happens, they will be banned from the group. But yeah, I was concerned, and I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm very pleasantly surprised. But I think the thing that makes it so exciting to people is that it's simple. That they don't have to commit to doing, 10,000 steps a day on their Fitbit if they don't want to. They get to pick what their daily goal is. For some people, if it's 1,500 steps a day and that's what they want their personal goal to be for the entire month, and that's a push for them because, for whatever reason, then God bless them. Though I will cheer them on every single day that they meet those steps, that goal. I will cheer them on.
I think I was laughing about the Fitbit because I think you know this, right? So I had lung surgery about a year ago.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. Okay. So like last March, in ICU, the whole 9 yards, lung surgery. And so like a month after that, I was silly enough to put my Fitbit back on my arm. And I was in the Fitbit community, so to speak, like with my mom and my sister. And my mom is 70 something, 77, 78. She's a ninja. So she's in the bowling league Tuesdays and Thursdays, and two different leagues. And she goes to Zumba, however you say that. She goes to Zumba on Monday nights. I mean, she is a ninja. So she has a Fitbit, and she had been doing 5,000 steps. And then someone told her, oh, you know, the goal is 10. So that sassy little darn near 80-year-old woman was kicking my butt daily in her steps on the Fitbit. And I was like, forget it. I'm taking this off. My mom is kicking. It didn't feel encouraging. I mean, on a spiritual level, I was so impressed with her, but it just weighed on me. I didn't say to myself, you were in the ICU 3 weeks ago. What I said was, your 7-year-old mom is kicking your butt. On Fitbit. So I took it off.
My lungs were just exposed to fluorescent lights. And...
Oh, no, that had nothing. Like they took pieces out. Oh, no, that didn't enter the conversation. Instead, I was beating myself up because I couldn't do 10,000 steps like my mom. So I was. It doesn't have to be right. It just has to be the truth. So I did that for several weeks. And I remember one day when I finally, because I wasn't even supposed to be exercising yet. Duh. So basically, I'm measuring the steps of me going up and down the steps the few times a day I was allowed. It was ridiculous. Right. But I was excited, right? Because I want to be part of a movement. And my mom was getting more into movement. She's lost like 80 pounds. And never mind that I was not in a position to do that. I just wanted to play. So that's why I was giggling about Fitbit. Not that that's not a worthy goal, but my goal is different. Right? On Fitbit.
Yes.
And I love that you're saying, hey, I'm celebrating you where you are. I'm not celebrating you based on where these other people are.
No, I'm not going to throw you in a pool with Lance Armstrong and say, you suck. I mean,
Thank you.
It's ridiculous.
Right? It's kind of like, I don't know who said it, but there's this great quote that says,
wait, that wrong one. Lance Armstrong is a bicycle guy.
Okay, so how hysterical is it? I didn't catch that. And I should know that too. Yeah, he rides the bike. What's the guy's name? Michael Phelps. There you go.
Yes.
Michael Phelps. But,
I might throw you in a pool with Lance Armstrong. I don't know if he can swim or not.
That's hysterical. I don't know if we should use him at all. He did have a little bit of a scandal.
That's true. Okay, Michael Phelps.
Yes, Michael Phelps. Now, let me just tell people, if Michael Phelps had any scandals, don't tell me. Just let us have one hero for today. But it's kind of like that quote that says a bird would spend its whole life feeling like a failure if it thought it had to swim.
Yes.
Right. So I think part of the magic of the movement is you're addressing those two reasons why we don't get our stuff done. You're addressing overwhelm because you're breaking it down into super bite-sized chunks, right? Just 3 simple things to do a day. But also you're getting to the fear part, right? My fear of failure is going to be exponentially diminished if my goal for the day I set, and it could be as something as simple as brainstorm names, because I can't fail at that.
Exactly.
I can't fail at finding through books on my shelf, right? So I think, and as each day goes on, you build on the success and the confidence of what happened the day before. So people are going to be posting in Facebook, but suppose I want to participate, but I don't want to post. Can I play anyway?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. And I'm actually creating a printable today where you can just write down and keep track for yourself. If you don't want to post on Facebook, I still would really, really hope that you would write down the small acts of awesome that you do all month so you can go back and celebrate, because I want you to celebrate you because you are awesome.
And I think we lose the daily victories if we don't write them down.
Yes.
They just get swept up in the, having to wash your hair and brush your teeth and get to bed on time and take your vitamins and stuff.
Exactly. And with a lot of my coaching clients that are very type A, what I do is when we start, I have them take a screenshot of their Aweber account and do a report from their shopping cart and Twitter, write down their followers and Facebook, and then I hide that away. And then later when they're saying, I don't feel like I'm making any progress, then I pull that out and go, okay, well, what's your Twitter followers? What's your Facebook? What's your profit this month? And then they're like, oh, I guess I've doubled everything. And it's like, yeah, you have, little Miss Impatience.
Well, that's do you think that there are special challenges around being awesome for women?
I do. I really do. I think that we are masterful at feeling guilt. And I also think that we're also very good at shitting on ourselves too.
Yes.
And our self-talk, well, that was a story I was going to tell before. I just came full circle. When you're talking about my husband, one of the most beautiful things that he has ever done for me is one time I was not having a good day. This was this was very early in our marriage, so, close to 20 years ago, was not having a good day, and I was getting ready for work, and I'm like, blah, 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 about myself in the mirror, and he just tapped me on the shoulder, and he turned me around, and he said, "Don't you ever talk about my wife like that."
Now that gave me goosebumps.
Yeah. He said, "Don't you ever talk about my wife like that. I love her more than anything, and I won't allow it." He said, "If anyone else ever said those things about my wife, I would be having serious words with them, and I don't want to ever hear that again." And so ever since he said that, I've been trying to keep that in my mind. But even my act of awesome, 2 days ago, I went swimsuit shopping with my daughter, which should have counted on its own. But I was trying on swimsuits, and I realized what I wanted to say out loud as I was trying on swimsuits, and I bit my lip because I realized that, one, I would be talking badly about my daughter's mother, right? If you can follow that.
Yep.
And two, what kind of an example would I be setting for her while she's trying on swimsuits of her own? I mean, she's a beautiful, perfect, she has a beautiful, perfect young body, and she's gorgeous, but I know that it gets in. It gets in like a foul smelling, toxin, just that negativity does. And so I bit my lip and was extra careful about what words came out while I was in that moment with her, because I didn't want it to be a negative thing for her. I laughed. I tried on swimsuits, and I'd open the door and go, "Look at this one!" And she's like, "Yeah, that's a no." But I did take it another level and say, "Yeah, look at this," or "Oh my God," or whatever, because I didn't want that moment to be negative for us. So my awesome moment 2 days ago was just simply realizing the moment, being aware of what Awesome Nick would do. And Awesome Nick would just have fun with the swimsuit shopping, even though those mirrors are not my friend. But I wanted to set a better example for my daughter and also be kind to my husband's wife.
That is epic. I wonder if he had any idea when he said that, how that would resonate now, 17 years later.
I don't know.
Because you said 20
really
years,
don't.
right? Mm-hmm.
We will have been married 20 years in June.
Awesome. I'll say it in advance because I won't remember. Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
One of my closest, like my best friend ever, her birthday is in March, and I wrote it down wrong once. So for like 35 years, I have been telling her happy birthday on the same day in April every year. Her birthday's in March. So I'm just going to tell you right now, I won't remember when your anniversary is. I'll tell you in the wrong month, but I'll just go ahead and say happy anniversary. That's an awesome accomplishment.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, do you think that there are any, well, let me ask the question differently. Are there any negative aspects of being awesome, or have you had some unexpected, you called them trolls earlier, but I'm not talking about trolls necessarily because we see them everywhere, right? I'm still stunned by the level of trollishness on the planet. But have there been any kind of aha moments, or I call them the moments that break my little heart about the awesome movement?
Yes, there have been people like my friend Kelly McCausey promoted and shared the Awesomization Nation with her list of her newsletter subscribers, and she got a few responses from people that said, "Well, I don't feel awesome. I don't think I can do this. Just people that were afraid of failing, or afraid of the competition, or afraid of comparisons." And I don't even know exactly what would stop someone, but that made me sad because I feel like okay, you're ready for awakening. You're right there. And just imagine, I can imagine their eyes going from that shady kind of blocked, suspicious look to just sparkling after the end of the month. So, I mean, all I can do is all I can do. And I'm trying very hard to let as many people know about this and pull them into this movement. But in the end, it's kind of like quitting drinking or losing weight. It becomes your own decision.
Absolutely.
And whether that happens or not is up to you.
That's a little break my heart moment too, that someone say, oh, I can't do this because don't think I'm awesome, because I think everybody has awesome in them. And
Yes.
I hate it when their inner assassin is louder than their inner cheerleader. But the thing I was wondering was, and I don't even know if people would verbalize it, but I often talk to women who would be afraid to say, yes, I'm participating in this thing, or to say I'm awesome because of how people around them might respond.
Right.
Right. So I'm going to be talking about this a lot all through because I just love it. Right. Even if you weren't my coach, I would still be saying, oh, my gosh, gots to get me. Yes, Mom, I do have good grammatical skills, but just don't listen to this right now. I gots to get me some of that awesome, because it just felt so important and so fun and so necessary and so life affirming at a time when we can't always find that as readily as we would like. And I think I just really am going to spend most of my time in the month encouraging folks, even if they never say a word, to just say it to themselves, right?
Exactly.
Because it is so much an inside job. So nobody else has to tell you you're awesome, and nobody else has the right to tell you that you're not awesome.
Right. I agree.
Don't give
And
them that
actually,
permission.
quite a few people in the group have already said that, have already thanked me for having the group, because in their real lives, they are surrounded by negative people that just can't even fathom, changing the world or growing your own business or reaching goals or, making yourself a better person. They're just are negative. And so they've been absolutely delighted by this group where they can be their true selves and they can strive to be the person that they want to be, and they can be awesome them.
I love that too. The what would awesome Allegra do?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I think it just makes me giggle and smile when I say it out loud.
Although I'm a little afraid of awesome Allegra, because if she's
Are you now?
more crazy than regular Allegra, then we're in for a way fun.
Don't fear the awesome girl. Don't fear the awesome little girl.
Enjoy the ride.
I was about to say, just pop some popcorn and put your seatbelt on.
I love it.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and spilling your awesome all over my show this week. I am stoked. If you could wave a magic wand right now on April 30th, what will be different?
I will have hundreds of people who are proud of themselves in what they've accomplished, and I'll have hundreds of transformations of people that will never be able to go back to how they were before April 1st.
Never be the same. Love it. Thank you so, so much. If they want more of the fabulous Nicole Dean, where should they go get it?
Oh, Nicole on the Net is a great place to start.
I will absolutely include a link to that in the show notes as well. Is there anything I haven't gotten to that you have a burning desire to share today?
Oh, I'd just like to go back to the fear. What if I don't reach my goals? What if I don't make my dreams happen? Darling, what if you do?
Perfect. You rock. Thank you so much for being here.
You rock too. Love ya.
Love you more.
Now you've been given permission to be more powerful and influence more people. If you've enjoyed this episode, please head over to allegrasinclair.com/iTunes and leave a review. It will help Allegra get the message out to more women that they can punch fear in the throat, show up, and tell their stories. We'll see you next time on the Allegrativity Powercast with Allegra Sinclair.